based on teachings of Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita as it is, we'll understand how Lord Krishna, as a supreme controller, the prayers offered by Arjuna here. Let us start with the prayers to the Parampara system. All of you can recite after me. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale
Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
Swamin iti namine
Swamin iti namine
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Namaste Saraswate Deve
Gauravani Pracharine
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Nirvishesha Sunyavadi
Paschatya Deshatarine
Paschatya Desatarine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadara
Sri Advaita Gadadara
Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
So now we are continuing with the prayers offered by Arjuna to Lord Krishna and his request at the end, what he wanted from Lord Krishna. So these are little bigger verses. The concept will be sometimes repeated, but we have to understand this is the mood of surrender of Arjuna to Krishna. So in that way, sometimes repetition is possible. So all of you, let us try to recite these verses. Tvamadideva Purusha Puranaha
Tvamadideva Purusha Puranas
Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidanam
Tamasya Visvasya Param Nidanam
Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dama
Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dama
Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa.
Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa.
Once again, Tvamadideva Purusha Puranas
Tvamadideva Purusha Puranas
Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidanam
Tamasya Vishwasya Param Nidanam
Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dama
Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dama
Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa.
Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa.
So here, the prayer offered by Arjuna, he says, Tvamadi Devaha, you are the original personality. Purushaha, you are a person. Puranaha, very old. Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam, this entire material universe is taking shelter within you. Nidhanam means shelter. Vetasi Vedyam Cha, and you are the one who are to be known. Param Cha Dama, and your abode is transcendental. Tvaya Tatam Vishwam Ananta Rupa, and you are that universal form. And you are unlimited. So here we see Tvamadi Devaha Puranaha Purushaha. So you are the original personality, the Godhead. So Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidanam, you are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. Tvam Veda, you know everything. And Vedyam Cha, and you are all that is knowable. Paramcha Damasi, you are above the material modes. Hey Ananta Rupa, oh unlimited form, or limitless form. Tvaya idam Vishwam Tatam Vyaptam, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. So in that way, we'll be able to understand the entire verse with respect to the translation also here. So here the word specifically Arjuna had used Nidanam. Means everything, even the Brahman effulgence rests on the Supreme Lord Krishna. The Lord is like a refuge. He is like a shelter. So everything takes shelter of him. That is the perspective here. He is the knower of everything that is happening in this world. And if knowledge has any end, he is the end of all knowledge. Therefore, he is known and he is the knowable. He is the object of knowledge because he is all-pervading. So, Vedtasi Vedyam means he is the conclusion and he is the end. So, in one purport, Prabhupada explains about this Nidhanam. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Nidhanam means transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means highest and Dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendent opulence, his abode can therefore be called as Nidhanam. So next verse. For these verses, not much information is there in the purports. So we will be moving whatever little data we could collect. All of you can recite the next one. Vayuramo Agnir Varuna Shashankaha. Prajapati Swam Prapita Mahasya. Namo Namastestu Sahasra Krutvaha.
Namo Namastestu Sahasra
Punasya Bhoyopi Namo Namaste.
Punasya Bhoyopi Namo Namaste.
Once again, Vayuramo Agnir Varuna Shashankaha.
Vayuramo
Prajapati Swam Prapita Mahasya.
Prajapati Swam Praptima Asya.
Namo Namastestu Sahasra Krutvaha.
Namo Namastestu Sahasra Krutvaha.
Punasya Bhoyopi Namo Namaste.
Punasya Bhoyopi Namo Namaste.
So here Arjuna is comparing the Lord with various personalities. He is saying, Tvam Vayuhu Yamaha Agnihi Varunaha Shashanka. You are the air, fire, water, and you are the moon. Then Prajapati Prapitamaha. You are the supreme controller and the grandfather. So Te Sahasra Krutva Namastute. I offer you my respectful obeisances 1,000 times. Sahasra Krutvaha. Sahasra means 1,000 times. And again, Punasya Namaha Astu, Bhuyate Namah Astu. And again, he is continuing, he is offering his respects, not just 1,000 times, more and more he is saying here. So here, what is the significance of Lord addressed as air? The Lord is addressed here as air because the air is the most important representation of all the demigods, being all pervasive. In one morning walk, Prabhupada explains, here is Parampara. If we follow the footsteps of Arjuna and we should surrender like that, means trying to understand Krishna in the Parampara system, then we are properly situated. Because Brahma is addressed as Pitamaha, grandfather, he is the original first creature in this material world, in this universe, and everyone has come from him, therefore he is called as Pitamaha. Pitamaha means grandfather. And because he is also born of Vishnu, therefore Vishnu is known as Prapitamaha, the great grandfather. In that perspective, that is explained. Like in one lecture, Prabhupada says, the first class knower of the Vedic knowledge, Adi Kavi. But where did he got the knowledge? He got the knowledge from Krishna. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. And Brahma distributed it to Narada. Narada distributed it to Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva distributed it to other acharyas. In this way, evam parampara praptam imam rajrishyo viduhu. So there is parampara. The knowledge is the same. There is no alteration. But it is coming through disciplic succession, one after another. So one who receives the knowledge from the disciplic succession, just like at the present moment, we see that Krishna and Arjuna, they are talking. Arjuna is direct disciple of Krishna. So if you take Bhagavad Gita as it was understood by Arjuna, then you got the right knowledge. And if you take the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita explained by some so-called scholar and politician, then it is rascaldom only. It has no meaning. This is the process. You try to understand Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna understood. So in the Parampara system, we have to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Next verse. Namah purastadata prishtataste.
Namah purastadata pratastaste.
Namostute sarvata eva sarva.
Namostute sarvata eva sarva.
Anantaviryamita vikramastvam.
Antaviryamita vikramastyam.
Sarvam samapnosi tatosi sarvaha.
Sarvam samapnosi tatosi sarvaha.
Namah purastadata prishtataste.
Namah purastadata prastataste.
Namostute sarvata eva sarva.
Namostute sarvata eva sarva.
Anantaviryamita vikramastvam.
Anantaviryamita vikramastyam.
Sarvam samapnosi tatosi sarvaha.
Sarvam samapnosi tatosi sarvaha.
So Krishna, again Arjuna is playing. Purastate namaha, obeisances from the front. Ata prashtatah nama astu, and obeisances from behind. Sarvatah eva, and from all sides also. Hey Anantavirya, O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless, Amita Vikramaha. Sorry, you are the master of limitless might, Amita Vikramaha. You are all pervading, Tvam Sarvam Samapnosi, and you are everything, Tatah Sarvaha. So here, out of loving ecstasy for Krishna, Arjuna is offering his respects from all sides. He is accepting that he is the master of all potencies and all prowess, and far superior to all great warriors assembled on the battlefield. So the same thing happened to Brahma, because he had to create this whole universe, so many planets, so many demigods, so many human societies. There is no limit. He is the creator of everything. He is called as great grandfather. Prapitamaha, because he instructed Brahma. He can instruct you also. What is that instruction? Yenamam upayantite. The instruction means how you can go back to Godhead. That instruction, not this, that you rot in this material world, in this hellish condition of life. That instruction you will get in the colleges and universities. But Krishna's instruction is different. He will give you instruction so that you can get rid of this hellish condition of life and go back home and back to Godhead. So what should we understand from this whole prayers? So how Krishna is, what is his position, and how we can go back home, back to Godhead by understanding the principles in the Parampara system. In one more morning walk, Prabhupada says, studying Bhagavad Gita, if someone recommends that we accept this false, then what kind of business this is? Everyone says, we have studied Bhagavad Gita, but you have studied? What you have studied? You are attached to some false imitation. And you have studied? So am I right, Mr. Sir? Mr. Sir, you are always right. Prabhupada. No, there must be pariprashna. Pariprashna is required, but in submissiveness, with reasoning, not like vagabonds. After reading Bhagavad Gita, if somebody says, here is an imitation God accepted, is that very nice thing? This should be discussed. Otherwise, if we stick to our original principle and go on reading Bhagavad Gita 3 times a day, then what is the use? Dr. Patel, it will be unanswerable by us, unanswerable by me. I have to submit, otherwise you may fire me unnecessarily and create trouble, and I create trouble for you. Prabhupada, no, I will not fire. We are coming to reasoning. Without pariprashna reasoning, either you accept that you should not anyone recommend any imitation. Dr. Patel, we accept what is written in Bhagavad Gita, all right, in toto. Prabhupada, therefore, if we are actually student of Bhagavad Gita, we should accept it in toto instead of deviating from that. That is my request. We are teaching that, why one should deviate. So, whole principle is, Prabhupada, not to deviate from the understanding what is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes we get carried away by imitation gods and all these things and all. If you have studied Bhagavad Gita, we should be able to discriminate Krishna and other imitation personalities.
Brahma. Parabrahma is Krishna. Ishara Parama Krishna. Ishara Parama. Ishara means controller. So every one of us is controller to some extent. Somebody is controlling his family, controlling his office, business, controlling his disciples. At last, He's controlling a dog. If he hasn't got to control anything, he keeps a dog to control. A pet dog, a pet cat. So everyone wants to be controller. That's a fact. But the supreme controller is Krishna. Here, the so-called controller is controlled by somebody else. I may control my disciples, but I am controlled by somebody else, by my spiritual master. So nobody can say that I am the absolute controller. No. Here you'll find the so-called controller, certainly controller to some extent, but he is controlled also. But when you find somebody that he is controller only, not controlled by anyone, that is Krishna. To understand Krishna is not very difficult. Try to understand that everyone is controlling, every one of us, but at the same time being controlled by somebody else. But we find a gentleman whose name is Krishna. He is controlling everyone, but he is not controlled by anyone. That is God. Ishara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radi Govinda Sarvataranatara. So this Krishna consciousness movement is very scientific, authorized and understandable by reasonable man. So if you kindly take interest in this Krishna consciousness movement, you will be benefited. Your life will be successful. Your aim of life will be achieved. That is a fact. So, you can try to read our literatures. We have got many books. You can come and see practically how our students are doing, advancing in Krishna consciousness movement. You can try to learn from them by association. Just like if one wants to become a mechanical man, he enters into a factory and associates with the worker, mechanics, and gradually he also becomes a mechanic, a technologist. Similarly, we are opening these centers just to give opportunity to everyone to learn how to go home, how to go home.
You understood the mode of Prabhupada, what is his intention, why he had established this Krishna conscious temple center? To give opportunity for everyone of going back home, back to God. The reality of this material world and the real knowledge available in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Okay, next verse, all of you can recite. Saketi matva prasabam yaduktam.
Saketi matva prasabam
Saketi matva
yaduktam.
prasabam viduktam.
He Krishna, he Yadava, he Saketi.
He Krishna, he Yadava,
He
he
Krishna,
Saketi.
he Yadava, he Saketi.
Ajanata mahimanam tavedam.
Ajanata mahimanam
Ajanata
tavedam.
mahimanam avedam.
Maya pramadat pranayena vapi.
Maya pramadat
Maya
prayena
pramadat
vapi.
pranayena vapi.
Saketi matva prasabam yaduktam.
Saketi matva
Saketi matva prasabam yaduktam.
He Krishna, he Yadava, he Saketi.
He
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
he
he
Yadava, he
Yadava, he
Saketi.
Saketi.
Ajanata mahimanam tavedam.
Ajanata
Ajanata
mahimanam
mahimanam
tavedam.
tavedam.
Maya pramadat pranayena vapi.
Maya
Maya
pramadat
pramadat
pranayena
prayena vapi.
vapi.
So here Arjuna is saying, Yatidam prasabam yuktam. I would have addressed you in the past in this way as He Saka, He Yadava, He Madhava, He Krishna. So in that way, without knowing your glories. Tava mahimanam ajanata api. So he's saying, Maya pramadat pranayena va. Oh, please forgive me whatever I have done in madness, pramadat, or in pranaya, in love. In either way, please forgive me. In that way, Arjuna is requesting Krishna. It's actually a 2-verse combination. We have divided the verse. Yak chavaha sardam asatkrutosi.
Yacchavahasatam asatkritosi.
Vihara sayyashana bhojaneshu.
Viharasayyashana bhojaneshu.
Eko tavapi achyutat sat samaksham.
Ego tapapyachyutat
Ekotavapyachyutas tat samaksham.
Takshamaye tvam aham aprameyam.
Takshamaye
tvam
tvam
aham
aham
parameshyam.
aprameyam.
Yakchavaha sardam asatkrutosi.
Yacchavahasatam asatkritosi.
Vihara sayyashana bhojaneshu.
Viharasayyasana bhojaneshu.
Viharasayyasana bhojaneshu.
Eko atavapi achyutat tat samaksham.
Ego
Eko atavapi achyuta tat samaksham.
Takshamaye tvam aham aprameyam.
Takshamaye tvam aham aprameyam.
So here, avaha sartam yat asat kritosi. I would have dishonored you many times while vihara sayyashana bhojaneshu. While relaxing vihara, or while saya, while we are lying on the same bed, or bhojaneshu, while we are eating together. Ekaha, sometimes alone, atava tat samaksham, or in front of many friends. He is saying, hey Achyuta, oh my dear Lord, tvam aprameyam, you are unlimited. Takshamayeham, please excuse me for all my offenses. So here in the purport, Prabhupada explains, can the relationship between the Jiva and the Lord be forgotten? The Jiva and the Krishna are fixed in eternity, their relationship, and it cannot be forgotten. Temporarily, it may be in a hold state, but once that relationship is revived, the Jiva will be able to come back and he will be able to connect with the Lord. So Arjuna has seen the opulences in the universal form and he could not forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. So he admitted formerly he did not know the glories of the Lord and that Krishna could assume such a universal form. So although he explained it as his intimate friend. So in one lecture, Prabhupada says, Arjuna developed friendship with Krishna. When he saw Krishna in his supreme universal form, he said, my dear Krishna, I have talked with you as friend. I have insulted you in so many ways. Friends and friends, sometimes they talk in insulting tone, but that is not insult. It is out of pleasure. Similarly, Arjuna also talks to Krishna in so many insulting tones, but when he saw that, oh, here is the supreme personality of Godhead, he was afraid. Like in one translation, Prabhupada says, all the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by the sense of majesty does not satisfy me. If one has pure devotion thinking of me as a son, friend or beloved, or regarding himself as great and considering me his equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mode, that steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Like Lord says, he becomes subdued by the devotions, by his devotees' devotion. According to their mood and understanding, the Lord reciprocates. Next verse. Pitasi lokasya characharasya.
Pitasi lokasya characharasya.
Tvamasya pujyasya gurur gariyan.
Tvamasya pujyasya gurur gariyan.
Natvat samosti abhyadikah kutonyo. Lokatrayepi apratima prabhava. Once again, pitasi lokasya characharasya.
Pitasi lokasya characharasya.
Tvamasya pujasya gururgariyan.
Tvamasya pujasya gururgariyan.
Natvat samosti abhyatika kutonyo.
Natvat samosti abhyadikah kutonyo.
Lokatrayepi apratima prabhava.
Lokatraye api apratima prabhava.
So here again, Arjuna is saying, Pitasi lokasya characharasya. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation. Tvam chara achara acharasya lokasya pitaha. The Lord is the father for all the moving and non-moving living entities. Tvam gariyan pujyasya asi. You are the worshipable chief, gariyan, and pujyaha. Then guruhu, you are the supreme spiritual master. Lokatrayepi, in these three words, Tvat samaha na asti abhyatikaha anya kutaha. Who is there who is equal to you or anyone who is greater than you? Samaha ta abhyatikaha. Nobody is equal to or greater than you. Then, he amita prabhavaha. Within the three words, you are immeasurable. Amita prabhavaha. The Lord is supreme. Immeasurable. Nobody can measure him. So Krishna is the supreme spiritual master because he is original personality. All the way he originally instructed this knowledge, Vedic knowledge, he gave to Brahma, and presently he is also instructing Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So any bona fide spiritual master at the present moment must be a descendant in the line of disciplic succession stemming from Krishna. So without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter. Then how can one become perfect? One should know that Krishna's activities are different from others. The best policy is to follow the principles of Krishna that will make one perfect. Next verse. Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam.
Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam.
Prasadaye tvam ahamisha idyam.
Prasadaye tvam ahamisha midyam.
Piteva putrasya sakeva sakyuhu.
Piteva putrasya sakeva sakyuhu.
Priya priyarhasi deva sodum.
Priya priyayarhasi deva sodum.
Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam.
Tasmat pranamya pranidaya kayam.
Prasadaye tvam ahamisha midyam.
Prasadaye tvam ahamisha midyam.
Piteva putrasya sakeva sakyuhu.
Piteva putrasya sakheva sakyuhu.
Priya priyayarhasi deva sodum.
Priya priyayarhasi deva shodum.
So he is saying, Isham, you are the supreme Lord. Tvam idyam, you are to be worshipped by every living being. Tasmadaham kayam pranidaya pranamya. I offer my respectful obeisances by falling down, sastanga namaskara. Then prasadaye, and I ask you for your mercy. He is saying, Hey Deva, shodum arhasi. Oh my dear Lord, please tolerate the wrongs that I have done to you. Yes, putrasya pita iva. Just as a father does with his son. Sakyuhu saka iva, as a friend with his friend. Or priyaya priya iva, as a lover with his beloved. He is giving analogy. Sometimes children do mistake, the parents forgive them. Friends do mistake, the other friend forgives him. The lovers do mistake, the other lover forgives him. Similarly, I would have done out of love and affection some mistakes. Please forgive me. That is the mood in which Arjuna is requesting Krishna here. So similarly, this is a story which comes in Mahabharata. There was one great warrior by name Bharbarika. He is also known as Ghatotkacha's son. So he was a greatest warrior. In his previous life, he had worshipped Lord Brahma and he wanted to become the greatest warrior on the earth. So Brahma gave him a benediction that in the next life he will be able to achieve that. So in the next life he became son of Bhima and Ghatotkacha and his wife.
Hidimba.
No, Bhima and Hidimba was Ghatotkacha. Ghatotkacha's son was this Barbarika. So he again did tapasya to Lord Brahma. Then Lord Brahma gave him a bow and 3 arrows. And by these 3 arrows, he said he can conquer anybody in the world. The first arrow, if he shoots, it will go and mark all the people whom he wanted to kill. The second arrow, if he wants to delete anybody, it can go and undo that whatever it has selected. The third arrow, finally, which has been selected, it will go and kill everyone. So when the Mahabharata war was about to start, he informs his mother that he wants to take part in the war. So mother will ask him, which side do you want to take? Then Barbarika says that whichever side is losing by the day's end, he will take their side. So then Krishna could understand this Barbarika is the greatest warrior. So he thought every day he will be taking one side. So first day he will take Kaurava side, next day he will be take Pandava side. In that way, at last, Barbarika will be left over with only 5 Pandavas, and if he goes on the Kaurava side, he will kill all the 5 Pandavas. And Krishna had given a promise to Kunti that he will protect all the 5 sons of Kunti. So now, to stop this process, Krishna acted like an old man, and he was sitting on the road under a tree. So Barbarika was passing by. So Krishna stops him. There's a bold Brahman and asks him, where are you going? Barbarika says, I am going to take part in the Kurukshetra war. Then that old man says, what is the use with this 1 bow and the 3 arrows? What will you do? So Barbarika says, you don't know the capacity of this bow and arrow. Then Krishna says, okay, if you wanted to prove, I am sitting under this banyan tree. If you can pluck all the leaves and make a garland for me, then I will be able to understand you are a great warrior. So Barbarika, first arrow, he will start releasing. In the meantime, Krishna plucks some leaves and places under his feet. The arrow will come, the first arrow will go and tick all the leaves on the tree, and it starts rotating around Krishna's feet. Then Krishna asks that Barbarika, what is this arrow doing? So Barbarika says, no, you would have done something, remove your leg. As soon as Krishna removed his leg, there are few leaves there. And Barbarika says, see how you have hidden it. No, Krishna is trying to update us. Even if Krishna wanted to secretly somewhere hide these Pandavas, this arrow will go and identify them wherever they are there within these worlds. So that is the point what Krishna wants to update us. So at the next arrow, there is nothing. The third arrow he will release, and it will go and make a garland of all the leaves and give it to Krishna. Then that old man becomes very satisfied, and he says to Barbarika, yes, you are a great warrior, I understand. Since you are a Kshatriya and I am a Brahmana, you have to give me some dakshina. You have to give me some gift. So Barbarika says, whatever you request, I will give you. Then that old man says, no, I wanted your life. You please offer me your life. Then Barbarika becomes very stunned, but says, because he has given a promise, he says, I will give you. But I have 2 conditions. One, I wanted to know who you are. And I had a desire. Second one, I had a desire to see at least this Mahabharata war. Give me an opportunity to pursue this war. So then that old man reveals that he is Lord Krishna himself. And Barbarika, he promises him that in future in Kali Yuga, he will be known by the Lord's name. He becomes as Rahasyam. So that Barbarika chops off his head and gives it to Krishna. And Krishna places this head on the top of a hillock near Kurukshetra. And he will be able to watch all the war, what is going to happen. So at the end of the war, there was a little contradiction between Bhima and Arjuna about who had killed more number of warriors. So both of them are there in an argument, and they come to Krishna and they ask who had killed many number of warriors. Arjuna says, Krishna says, I have not given any attention. So both of you go to the top of the hill. There is one personality who is watching the entire war. You can go and ask him who has killed the maximum number of warriors. So Bhima and Arjuna go there and they will ask that head, that is Barbarika, that who had killed either Bhima or Arjuna the most number of warriors. So that head, Rahasyam, he says, I don't know who is Bhima, I don't know who is Arjuna. I only saw Krishna Sudarshan Chakra. It came and killed everyone and went away. So in that way, we have to understand that it is the Lord's desire what is happening. We may be just an instrument in his hand, and we have to be gratitude that Krishna has utilized it as an instrument, as selecting us as his instrument. It is he who is doing it, but actually we are insignificant without him. That is the story perspective here. Okay, next verse, all of you can decide. Adrushta purvam hrishitoshi društva.
Adruštapurvam hrishitosmi društva.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Adrushta purvam hrishitosmi društva.
Adruštapurvam hrishitosmi društva.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
Prasida devesha jagannivasa.
So here Arjuna is saying Adrushta Purvam. Never before, Drushtaha means to see. Adrushtaha means Purvam, never before I had seen this form. Hrishitoshme, I am very glad and Društva by seeing that form. But Bhayenacha, I am also fearful of seeing that form. Pravyatitam, I have become perturbed, manome, my mind became disturbed by seeing that form. Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam, by seeing this form of, oh my dear Lord, your universal form. So, Prashidaha, please be satisfied, just be gracious upon me. Deveshaha, O Lord of the demigods. O Jagannivasa, O abode of the universe, please be satisfied. In that way, Arjuna is offering his prayers. He's saying, Hey Deva, Društva Tava Adrushta Purvakam. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, Rishitaha Asmi, I am very gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Bhayenacha me manaha pravyatitam. Therefore, he is saying, please bestow your grace upon me, prasidaha, and reveal again your form. Tadeva me rupayam darshaya. As, Hey Devesha, as a personality of Godhead, O Lord of the Lords, or Hey Jagannivasa, O abode of the universe. So why is Arjuna so joyful and fearful about Krishna? So Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is very dear friend. So Arjuna was joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Lord and can show such a wonderful universal form. But after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses out of his unalloyed friendship and love. Thus his mind became disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. He was thinking, because he is such a great personality, I would have committed some mistake or offense. That's why he was feeling fearful. So here, what is the significance of Arjuna asking Krishna to show his Narayana feature? That's in the third line, he says, Tameva me darshaya deva rupam. I wanted to see that divine form. So Arjuna is asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. Because this universal form is material and temporary, because his material world is a temporary place. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with four-armed Narayana. So Arjuna wanted to see that form which he manifests in the Vaikuntha world. So in one aspect, Prabhupada explains, why was Arjuna afraid of Vishwarupa? There is no question of loving Vishwarupa. If Krishna comes before you in the Vishwarupa form, you will be so filled with fear that you will forget to love. So don't be eager like the impersonalist to see the Vishwarupa form. Just render loving service to Shama Sundara. We have more or less seen Krishna as the Vishwarupa during wartime in Calcutta in 1942. There was a siren, we ran into a shelter and the bombing began. In this way, we were seeing the Vishwarupa. I was thinking, of course, this is also just another form Krishna, but this is not a very lovable form. A devotee wants to love Krishna in his original form. This Vishwarupa is not his original form. Being omnipotent, Krishna can appear in any form, but his lovable form is that of Krishna. Although a man may be a police officer, when he is at home, he is beloved father to his son. But if he comes home firing his revolver, the son will be so frightened that he will forget that he is his beloved father. So naturally, the child loves his father when he is at home like a father. Similarly, we love Krishna as he is in the eternal abode in the form of Shyama Sundara. So simple explanation for this purpose. Like quoting from Bhagavatam, Aho bataham rushayo bhavadbir avitata girbir varam asulabam abhyachito yad amushya atmajo maya sadrusho bhuyaditi mamaham evabi rupaha kaivalyad atapi brahmavado na mrisha bhavitam arhati mamaiva hi mukam yad vijadeva kulam. Here this is a prayer offered to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is replying when the sages had offered for him. So Dvijadeva Kulam, oh great sages. So I am certainly pleased with your prayers. Aham batoyam rushabho bhavadbir avitata girbir. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction, varam, asulabam, which is very difficult. Abhyachitaha, you have requested. Yet amushya atmajaha maya, you wanted a son like me for King Nabi. But it is very difficult to obtain. This is asulabam. Since I am the supreme person without a second, mama aham eva abhirupaha kaivalyat, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. So in any case, because you are all qualified brahmanas, athapi brahmavadopi, and your vibration should not prove untrue, na mrisha bhavitam arhati. So I consider the brahmanas who are well qualified with brahmanical qualities to be as good as my own mouth. Mamaiva hi mukam yad dvijadeva kulam. So in that way, Krishna is saying there is no one second, or since no one equal to me, you cannot get another personality, you cannot find anyone equal to me. Like in one more purport Prabhupada says. Arjuna, as a pure devotee of the Lord, never previously saw the contemplated Vishwarupa. But when he did see it, his curiosities were satisfied. But he was not happy to see such a form of the Lord because of his attachment as a pure devotee. He was afraid to see the gigantic form of the Lord. He therefore prayed to the Lord to assume his Narayana form or Krishna form, which alone could please Arjuna. Undoubtedly, the Lord had supreme potency to exhibit himself in multifarious forms. But the pure devotee of the Lord are interested in his forms as eternally exhibited in the abode of the Lord, known as Tripada Vibhuti, or the kingdom of God.
Once Sri Krishna and Narad Muni, disguised as sage, started knocking on the door of a rich man to beg for alms. Rich man came out and saw two sages standing there. Sri Krishna, disguised as sage, said, "Please give us some food." Rich man replied angrily, "Aren't both of you ashamed? Do you feel shame in earning? Go away, go to some other house and beg for food there." Seeing this, Narad Muni said to Sri Krishna, "This person disrespects you and your devotee, and yet he is so successful and happy. He should be cursed." Sri Krishna gave that rich man boon to increase his wealth and left. After walking a little, they reached a poor old lady's home who lived in a small house and was a devotee of Sri Krishna. As soon as Sri Krishna, disguised as sage, raised his voice for alms, the old lady came out with great joy and welcomed them both in her house and brought milk for them, saying, "Please accept it. I have nothing else to offer." They both accepted it with great love. Narad Muni said to God, "Look at the plight of your devotees in this world. I can't see it. This poor old lady worships you and today gave alms to us. Bless her with something good, please. Before leaving, Sri Krishna blessed her, saying, "May your cow die." Hearing this, Narad Muni got upset and questioned, "Why did you do it? She had only this cow to support her, and yet you cursed her cow to die." Sri Krishna replied, "This old lady worships me a lot. She will die in a few days, and while dying, she will worry about the cow and her safety, thinking, what if a butcher takes her cow and cuts it? Who will look after her cow after her death? And because of this, at the time of death, instead of remembering me, only concern for her cow will remain, and she will not be able to go to my abode, and will have to come back to this world as a cow in next birth." On the other hand, rich man was given a boon to increase wealth. At the time of death, he would think about money, and in next birth, he would come as a snake who lives under safe. It is the law of nature that the thing in which one has a lot of attachment will be in one's mind at the time of death, and that person will have to take birth accordingly and suffer. Therefore, we should keep our contemplation more towards God and always keep remembering Him.
Okay, the last verse for today, all of you can recite. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam
Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam
ichchami tvam drashtumaham tataiva
ichchami tvam drashtumaham tataiva
tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena
tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena
sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte
sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte.
Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam
Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam
ichchami tvam drashtumaham tataiva
ichchami tvam drashtumaham tataiva
tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena
tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena
sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte.
sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurte.
So here Arjuna is saying Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam, like with helmet, with the gada, with the chakra in the hand. Ichchami tvam drashtum aham tataiva. I have a desire. Ichchami tvam drashtum. With that, you are decorated with Shankha Chakra, Gada, Padma, and a nice helmet. Aham tataiva. This is my desire. Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. I want to see that form, which is your four-armed form. Sahasrabaho, your 1,000-armed one. Bhava Vishwamurte, just become, O universal form, in that mode. Arjuna is requesting. So he's saying, O universal Lord, hey Vishwamurte, hey Mahabaho, aham tvam tatatena chaturbhujena rupena eva bhavaha. I wish to see you in that four-armed form. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam, with helmet head and with club, wheel, conch and lotus flower in your hands. So drashtum ichchami, I long to see you in that specific form. So what is the specialty of this verse? This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original Lord and all other features originate from him. So one who knows Krishna at once becomes free from all contamination of this material world. Like in Krishna book it is said, Sri Krishna is naturally very affectionate towards his devotees. And when he saw Rukmini's condition, his heart immediately softened. At once he became merciful to her. The relationship between Rukmini and Krishna was like between Lakshmi and Narayana. Therefore, Krishna appeared before Rukmini in his four-armed manifestation of Narayana. He got down from the bedstead and brought her up by her hands, and placing his cooling hands on her face, smoothed the scattered hair on her head. So sometimes Krishna played a prank on Rukmini. Rukmini could not understand that Krishna was playing prank, and she became unconscious, thinking that Krishna is going to leave her. And seeing that the situation of Rukmini, Krishna became very sorry, and he lifted her and he pacified her by his words. So in that context, it is said. Lord Krishna had two arms, and why he is designated as four-armed is explained by Sridhar Swamy. Both Bhima and Draupadi held opposite views about killing Ashwatthama. Bhima wanted him to be immediately killed, whereas Draupadi wanted to save him. In order to prevent both of them, the Lord discovered another two arms. If Sri Krishna is called as Chaturbhujaha, there is no contradiction. If need, he can display hundreds of arms, as explained in Vishwarupa shown to Arjuna. Therefore, one who can display hundreds and thousand arms can also manifest four arms whenever needed. So, that is the perspective. Any questions? Okay, then thank you very much. If there are no questions, we'll again meet next week. We'll continue with the next last part of the verses, 8 verses. Now Krishna had how he will show that four-armed form, then how he will show that two-armed form. What is the perspective for us to understand in this four-armed form to two-armed form? We'll see in the next session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.